given that you're a journalist, given that you've been in this, obviously I've watched your career blossom, and as someone who kind of like tries to really pay attention to shit, like I've always thought you've done a good job. And so I'm really curious about this question. And this is one woman's subjective point of view. This isn't fact for you. As you go through the history of this last 25 years or so, whatever it is, 15, 20, 25, which app or platform are you personally like disappointed didn't make it or isn't in the top 5 today?
Good.
Or you could take another track. You're most surprised that it didn't make it. You understand why because you've done the research, but you're most still surprised. Or tell people a story of like why it should be here and what the one bad move was that changed the course of it.
Yeah. Well, it's that's such a great question. There's a few. Obviously, Vine. I'm a millennial. I grew up on Vine. It makes me so sad that the way that app was sort of
How many?
mismanaged.
That was sold incredibly quickly, right? That was
Yeah,
within
it
a
was
year.
pre-launch to Twitter. Yeah. Yeah. And then Twitter mismanaged it. I mean, I think Vine could have really rivaled TikTok. Like
Well,
Vine's
Vine was the preview to TikTok.
exactly. You couldn't have Vine without TikTok. I also have to say, Gary, Snapchat. Like Snapchat's been a surprising one where, it had so much hype and it was ascendant. And then they really also kind of shot themselves in the foot. They refused to
Let's
embrace creators.
let's double click into that.
Yeah.
In Snapchat today, as you know, because you covered a space, continues to dominate messaging between the youth, right?
Yeah.
Yet, so many of these 17-year-olds will literally talk to all their friends. It is their core. It is like, hey, elders without kids, or even 20, even 30-year-olds without kids, like, this is where they text, not on WhatsApp and on, iMessage. Spotlight is sitting right down there, one click away.
Yeah.
Which for everybody at home that doesn't use it, which is most, by the way, which is the point I'm getting at, that is basically, in essence, their feed, their TikTok, their Instagram. And you and I know, because we do this for a living, the content in there is very similar to the content that is in TikTok and Instagram. What do you think Snap is missing, or why doesn't it have more? I continue to believe that they could take 20% market share of the feed economy in a snap, pun intended, if they tweaked it a little bit. What's your take on why the majority of people that consume Instagram and TikTok do not also consume? I mean, more of them consume YouTube Shorts for the most into it than Snap Highlight when it's sitting right there. They're already there. They're in the room. They're
Okay.
in the fucking house. They're just not going to the other living room. Why?
Yeah, I mean, my book actually sort of talks about Evan's mismanagement of kind of, or not, I would say mismanagement. He made a series of decisions that I think sort of set them up to be in this difficult spot. One, he insisted on separating that social experience and the media consumption experience. I don't know if you remember, I think it was 2017 or 2018 when he split the two and he sort of talked about that. I think that was a mistake. And, even today, it's just they haven't they're sort of very antisocial in a way. Like they don't lean into things that I think you're right. Like I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, you're shooting yourself in the foot. They also alienated their whole first class of content creators. And yes, I know a lot of content creators are making big money on, Discover still, some of
Yep.
them.
Well,
But
that is because it's all supply and demand,
yeah.
and the ones that are going hard in it, there's still plenty of attention. It's just the majority of creators don't even think to go hard in it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's because of the company's history with the creators, where they alienated and sort of they had a very hostile relationship with creators for a while. I mean, that whole first generation of Snapchat creators, they didn't want those people on the platform. They wanted it to be about one-to-one IRL friends, close friends. I think that was a
Yep.
mistake.
Makes sense.